I drew this, on Australia Day we went out to South Bank Parklands, and I drew this little Chinese girl, just a little toddler, that was playing in the sand at South Bank Beach. Now, I then proceeded to almost ruin the drawing when I was trying to firm up the lines because I used a pencil that was too thick. Now, because she was Chinese, I decided, I had come across, we went to a tavern actually, and they had a Chinese newspaper there, and I thought, oh, I'm going to snag that and use that somehow. And it just seemed to really poignant that I wanted to I'd drawn a little Chinese girl, and then I thought, well, I'll use the Chinese newspaper. And I do know that that particular part of the paper was talking about entertainment because it had an English heading on it, so I'm not quite sure what it says. But I figured it was very much in line with the little girl playing in the sand. So I collaged some of that down, and just I really wanted it to still really stand out though, so I'm not essentially thinking of covering it up at this stage. But now I'm pulling my watercolor palette out, and I want to just watercolor in the basic palette of what she was wearing that day. And I'm just starting off with her face with some neutrals, and I'm working on top of gesso here, so it looks different. It's not watercolor ground, but it's not straight onto the paper because the paper, as you know, is not a great paper, and it needs to be sealed. So I'm just working on top of gesso, which is okay. It's not working the way that I normally would work, but it's giving me that kind of sketchy, scruffy look that I was really looking for here. I originally started drawing her. She didn't take me very long to draw, except she was moving around a lot while she was playing in the sand. But it didn't take me very long to kind of draw her, and I figured I just want this kind of, not a perfect drawing, just a little kind of sketchy drawing. And I just wanted it to look a little bit blotchy and not, really big, not incredibly beautiful or, any of that kind of stuff. I just kind of wanted to get her looking herself. She was a little bit bedraggled and wet, and actually I had to stop sketching her because her father picked her up and threw her in the beach in the water. So it was really cute. And one thing I noticed about that on Australia Day was that there were so many different nationalities there. Like where I live in Logan, there are 212 nationalities. That day there probably weren't 212 nationalities there at South Bank, but there could have been. But where I was sitting, it was like there was so many different nationalities there, and I tell you what, everyone got along with everyone. I loved it. It was a great day, and we sat next to I would say they were Afghanis on one side of us and Chinese on the other when we were sitting at the South Bank Parklands. So now I'm just putting in the background, and that's to represent the pool behind her, because when you put it into perspective, that's all I could see. It was covered with, there was lots and lots of people. Now, I had used that on another journal page as a transfer, but I really liked the idea of just throwing at least part of Australia and the flag there. After all, I did this sketch on Australia Day, and I really wanted to make it interesting. So what I did here was the leftover gel medium. I actually tinted it with an acrylic ink in ultramarine, and I just added it in there, and what do you know, it kind of looked almost like watercolor. There we go. So I sealed in the next page because I wanted to write something on there, and I wanted it really kind of plain, just colored, because the natural texture where I hadn't sort of washed off all the gesso is already providing the light and shade for me there with all those different strokes. And I'm loving the way the page is coming together. It's like really kind of sketchy and cute, and kind of showing that kind of mishmash of nationalities that Australia is known for. So I'm just getting an intense pencil here, and I just wanted to write down my thoughts. So there are 212 nationalities where I live in Logan. And then when I sat there and thinking, how do I say that? And I'm sure I've spelled it wrong. In fact, I'm absolutely sure it should be T-I-E-S. Ha ha. I'm my own spell check Nazi. And then there's this beautiful song done by the Seekers that goes, we are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. And I started running out of space, you can see. And I thought, no, I'm going to write in black here over the top of that. And it goes, we share a dream and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australians. And I didn't have enough room to say Australians, but we're Aussies. And I thought, that just really seals it for me. So now I'm water activating that. The black pencil was a Stabilo oil pencil, not an Inktense, because it had to be soft. And the Inktense are a little bit more brittle. So now I'm just activating it, and I wanted it to look kind of, not graffiti, but kind of almost. You know, like that kind of, I want it to look like someone had scribbled on the page after I had finished it. Graffitied it. So, and I'm sure I kind of got that look. And now I'm just doing some finishing touches with a couple of Neo colours so that I can just pop it all together and just added a little bit more depth to the sand there, and yeah, and the page is finished. So I'm just drying it off, and yeah, happy Australia Day to us. I love my country. Ciao for now. See you next time.